Welcome to Ridgewood Talks. Through this podcast, we will be introducing you to some of the leaders and legends in our village. We'll keep you updated about fascinating local events. We'll dig into the town's hot topics and so much more. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Jeanne Johnson, the founder of Ridgewood Talks and Ridgewood Walks. The goal of these initiatives is to create a kinder, more connected, and more vibrant community. I'm thrilled to be hosting this podcast with my good friend and all-around wonderful guy, Jordan Kaufman. We look forward to meeting with you weekly and hearing your thoughts on who and what you'd like to learn about in our beautiful hometown. For now, be kind, do good, and enjoy this episode. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to Ridgewood Talks. As you know, we're here to keep you informed about the people and stories that make Ridgewood such a special place. And today we've got a fantastic episode lined up. You know, a few months ago, we invited Ridgewood Public Schools to be a regular part of these videocasts. And thanks to Superintendent Dr. Mark Schwarz and Communications Director Christine Corliss, we have a terrific lineup of leaders to highlight. Today, we're spotlighting an amazing organization that does so much for our public schools. It's called the Ridgewood Education Foundation. Now, this nonprofit works hard to provide funding to enhance our public schools. And who better to tell us all about it than the foundation's president, Paul McCarthy, and the vice president, Kathy Marshall. Now, let me tell you, these two are not just your ordinary volunteers. They are volunteer legends in Ridgewood, for real. Between them, they've dedicated countless hours and incredible energy to organizations like the Friends of the Ridgewood Public Library and the College Club of Northern New Jersey, just to name a few. I'm going to go with Kathy Marshall's resume first. Her resume is mighty impressive. She's originally from Long Island, and she's a proud Boston College alum who volunteered at their admissions office for many years, and then she started her career in banking and in human resources. She worked for Chemical Bank, the New York Times, and the Reader's Digest Association. Then life gave her a little twist. She paused her career aspirations and followed her husband Ken to Switzerland, of all places. And they were there for a few years and then returned to Ridgewood to raise their three children, Kenneth, Kaylin, and Kevin, who are twins. And then Kathy's career moved into parenting and she became a full-time community powerhouse. While raising her kids, Kathy was everywhere. She was the president of the Orchard HSA. She was the president of Federated HSA. She was a parent rep on the village's Municipal Alliance Board, the Parks and Rec committees, and yes, even gracing the Jamboree stage for 6 years to help raise scholarships for Ridgewood High School graduates. But wait, there's more. She currently serves as the first vice president and webmaster for the College Club of Northern New Jersey and is a founding member of the GRACE Project, which builds schools and health centers in Kenya. Kathy is also a trustee for the Ridgewood Cambodia Project. It's a nonprofit that raises funds for the Ridgewood Village School in Phnom Penh. And because she apparently never sleeps, she also works part-time in HR for private clients and at Bloomingdale's. So talk about a powerhouse. But you know, the only person that I know who could possibly keep up with Kathy Marshall is Paul McCarthy. Paul is the definition of community dedication. He's a Bergen Catholic graduate, and then he went on to Georgetown University, where he remains a super involved alum, no surprise. He serves on the Board of Governors, which helps with the Alumni Association, and he interviews potential students and is fundraising like a pro. Paul had a successful career as an executive and traveled all over the world overseeing operations for a cutting-edge electronics company. But then he took on an even bigger challenge by becoming a full-time stay-at-home parent to his and Lori's two children, Sherry and Thomas. Since then, he's been a driving force in Ridgewood's volunteer scene. He's the president of the Friends of the Ridgewood Public Library. He was the founding member of the Conservancy for Ridgewood Public Lands, a former Ridgewood Baseball Association coach. Now get this, a college youth organization basketball coach, a catechist at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, a trustee on the Willard School Board, and part of the GW Middle School HSA. And let's not forget his work with the Ridgewood Education Foundation, where he orchestrated a 4-year grant program to enhance the STEAM curriculum for grades 6 through 12. And when Paul isn't volunteering, he's likely playing golf, hitting the slopes, running, or traveling the world. He's traveled throughout the United States, Europe, Australia, Africa, and Asia. So trust me when I tell you, you're in for a real treat today, because these two are some of Ridgewood's finest, and I cannot wait for you to hear from them. So let's dive in. Thank you, Paul and Kathy, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Excited
For sure.
to be here.
I am so glad. So first of all, I am very impressed with the Ridgewood Education Foundation, and I think for our listeners, it's important for them to know, what is your mission?
Well, the mission is pretty simple. The organization was founded in 1989 by concerned and activist parents here in Ridgewood, and the goal was to raise private funds to support and supplement educational enhancements that the municipal budget couldn't take care of. So they set about raising those funds through private activities within the community, and sometimes they'd go outside the community and look for grants and so forth. But it's essentially we raise funds through the community. In the course of the 35 years, we've raised over $1.3 million.
1.3, that's a lot.
It's a lot, and almost all that has come back into the school system through our grants program.
Right.
We've been really active since 2014. Grants we've written since 2014 accumulated about half of that, about $655,000 over those 6 years from 14 to 19.
Right. Just to get clear, so where did those grant funds come from?
Those had been raised over a period of time.
Okay, so that's the money that you are raising.
Corpus,
Gotcha. So, and how do you raise your money? What kind of things do you do to raise your money?
Every other year, in 2014, we started our now every other year signature fundraising event, which is an Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
We started that at the Hermitage in 2014, and we've enjoyed hosting it the past few go-rounds at the Women's Club in Ridgewood here. We had a hiatus in 2020
Right.
for obvious reasons, but the last two have been very successful, each bringing in netting over $50,000 plus.
Yeah, well, they're super fun. I've been to them, and it's a lot of fun. Yes. I mean, lots of dancing, lots of camaraderie, and things like that. So it's very impressive what you've done. I want to know, can you tell me who else sits on the board with you?
Sure. We have an active board of right now 16 trustees.
Wow.
They are all Ridgewood residents who have volunteered their time, and we have a pretty diverse mix of parents of students in elementary, middle, and high school, and then some of us like Paul and
Right.
I who have children who have graduated out of the system.
Right. So that I have to say right now is what I really admire the most, is that so many people who are empty nesters are still engaged in helping our schools, because it really does. It's so important to obviously the student body, but it's also important to the community to keep our schools, the tradition, giving the tradition of excellence what it deserves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So some of the things that you guys do, which one of the favorite things is Super Science Saturdays. So tell us about that.
Kathy?
Sure. So for many years now, we've co-sponsored along with the Valley Hospital Super Science Saturday.
I didn't know Valley was involved.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
that's great.
They partner with us,
Oh,
and
wow.
and it's a science fair for the entire district to participate in, and it's a great day. We also usually bring in some outside experiments
Yeah.
or featured activities. We've done rocket launches and all kinds of things like that. And it's also a chance for the elementary and middle school kids to go into the high school.
Which is great.
Which is a great experience, and see some of the exciting things that they have to look forward to, like the anatomy table, which is a fully electronic anatomy table, and all kinds of other stuff that exists in the makerspace and the science classrooms at the high school. So it gives them something to aspire to.
Yeah, and I think it helps the kids, the elementary students and the middle school students, not be as intimidated excited when they actually come through the doors of the high school,
Right,
and they get to meet some of the teachers and some of the students. It's super fun. I remember when my kids were involved, both as elementary school students and then as high school students, when they were so excited because they knew what it was like to be a little kid coming in there, and so they were really, really nurturing to them. It's a great day, and it's usually in February, right?
It's March.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said that. Yeah. So it's March, and it starts at what time to what time?
9 to 1:30 on March 1st.
9 to 1:30, yeah. And like I said, I remember one of the things that they did was a paper airplane thing.
Yes.
That's so much fun. The kids just love that. Some of the other things that you've done are, I think, were you responsible for the Chromebooks that were brought into the schools? Was the Education Fund?
Yeah, we weren't. It was certainly an initiative we were proud to support. And the origin of that is that the district came to our board and asked if we would consider supporting a pilot program of bringing some Chromebooks into a ninth grade science class, and they explained the reasons why and the benefits. Of course.
So can you tell us what some of the reasons why and what the benefits?
Well, just
were?
the uniformity of hardware within the district, first of all within that building and then throughout the district. It kind of allowed teachers to use certain platforms rather than having kids on disparate types of hardware. They kind of focused on just the one area of which platforms they could use and provide, and the kids then. It was also a pretty equitable solution for people because there was families who maybe couldn't afford to have a laptop.
Right.
Now the district was ultimately at the end of this program giving one to all the students. So everybody had it was a level playing field, level opportunity for education, and everyone had the same
and that makes
hardware.
sense. Yeah.
So they came to us with the idea of running a pilot to see if this would work, and fortunately we had some money in the bank, and we suggested that they consider doing the whole grade rather than doing just one class for one semester. Technology moves so quickly. If we're going to jump into it, that we should jump in. Of course, they were happy to accept the larger amounts of money. Yeah. So we did the ninth grade that first year, and then over the next that year inclusive 5 years, we supported it with $250,000 for the purchase of the Chromebook program, and that accelerated the district's adoption of that platform.
Right.
And now it's every
it's just commonplace.
I believe kindergartners have them, but I know in first grade through 12th they have them.
Yeah. That's amazing. So some of the other things that I know, this is when my kids were, this is a long time ago, my kids were still in school, and there was a push to revamp the science spaces in the middle schools, and you guys did that too, right?
Yeah, we were involved in upgrading the science classrooms at both GW and Benjamin Franklin middle schools. And that meant introducing at GW lab tables, lab stools, equipment like telescopes, microscopes, things like that, and science kits to enhance the curriculum.
And it really, I think those newer items really encouraged kids to get curious about science and to really want to pursue it as a career eventually, I would guess, right?
You're so right. And the other great aspect of that was, and I was on the GW HSA at the time, so I was on both sides of this development. So it was really exciting to see the impact of the funding. But what it also enabled all those young learners was the opportunity to work together collaboratively, because instead of being at their different desks, they now had lab tables with water stations and, as Kathy said, microscopes and other hardware, that there was collaboration and shared experiences. So the learning, I think, became more impactful.
Oh, for sure. I can understand that. And then the other thing that is so intriguing to me is the makerspace. Can you tell us more about that?
So along with the introduction of a fully coordinated STEAM curriculum that the district was proposing, we were able to find and create space at the high school originally for a makerspace lab, for lack of a better word. And that was the first time we introduced 3D printers and other kits and equipment into the classroom spaces for children to use as part of design thinking courses or other quasi-engineering courses that the district was introducing as part of their curriculum. And then ultimately that curriculum trickled down into the middle schools, and we were able to also produce maker spaces for both GW and BF by carving out spaces and giving some of the equipment needed for them to actually do hands-on learning in their STEAM curriculum.
It's amazing because what the Ridgewood Education Foundation is doing is you are really helping our student body stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in the world. Because as you said, technology is moving so quickly. Is there anything that you're doing? I know this is probably off topic a little bit, but is there anything that you're pursuing in terms of AI right now?
We did explore with a partner an idea to pilot a program in the district with some AI tangential hardware.
Okay.
The scope of the program would have been expanded out into the whole district, but I think the short-term viability of the product and the hardware made the cost of implementing this was sort of a teacher's aid rather than a piece of AI.
Gotcha.
It was a way to access AI within the classroom structure and leverage the access to in the learning
Gotcha.
process.
Right.
So the district ended up actually running a pilot program with 5 educators and this hardware, and it has not come back for more funding. So I assume that we have a good relationship with the administration, but they keep us informed about what they're really interested in, and that has not been on our landscape right now. So I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would imagine eventually, because it's moving so quickly.
It's moving so quickly. You're gonna and to this particular pilot required the buy-in of the teacher of the classroom,
Gotcha.
the orchestrator, and so some of them are not as nimble at learning the technology or wanting to incorporate, or even wanting to incorporate
even
into their style.
to it.
They're not receptive to it.
Right.
Not that they're not capable. It's just they'd rather not use that. And so
And I can understand that too.
And so you have the professional development piece of it.
Right.
It's a national question, right? It's how to harness, because there's a lot of good that can come from it.
Yeah.
Everyone worries about the bad side of what AI can do and ChatGPT and things like that, but
Right.
there's a lot of tremendous upside,
there's
and that needs to be thought out for.
Yeah,
for the
there's a
district.
lot of opportunity.
Fortunately, we don't have to worry about the thought process. We just get to support the things that they
Right.
adopt or that they
That's
embrace.
true. That
Yeah,
is.
that's what I was going to say. It is important to clarify that basically the district is coming to us applying for grants. Teachers can apply for individual classroom
Interesting.
grants.
Okay, yeah.
The administrators, the supervisors of certain departments have been the grant writers in the past. They come to us with the ideas and request the monies through a grant application process. So we basically are responding and receiving
Gotcha.
these ideas, and then discussing as a board and with our grants committee on the board whether it's something that we are choosing to fund and to what extent.
Right. So I want to go back to that for 1 minute, because we talked about the grants. Now, because you're a 501c3, you're eligible to apply for grants for funding too. Is that not true, or no?
That's sure true. Yes.
And so have you done that, and what grants have you applied for from where? What?
I've not been involved in I've been involved in supporting the grant writing
Gotcha.
years ago, but we have not taken an active approach to submitting grants to those large
Well, I guess
foundations.
you don't have
We did
to.
receive the grant from the Columbia.
Columbia,
Savings Bank.
that
Oh,
was-
that's nice.
Yep. They
And so
gave us
what about the
$20,000.
Duffield? Was that whole thing with the makerspace, and then they also did the sound studio at the high school? Was that part
They
of
built
what
out
you did?
what we put in place.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So we had donated money to the high school to create the recording studio at the high school originally several years back. And it was a nascent kind of studio, and it was analog. And then the Alumni Association, which has really kind of gelled and taken off in recent years, was able to solicit a grant from one of their prominent alumni. And they were able to receive from David Duffield a large grant that allowed them to digitize the recording studio, enhance the capabilities of the recording studio, and they also did that to the makerspace. So they really kind of upgraded the makerspace, brought in all kinds of new technology and new equipment there. It was a large grant. So
Yeah, it was like $650,000,
Big
something
number.
like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
a
that's a
big
lot of
number.
money.
Yeah. So the way they work is they basically really tap into their alumni network. And obviously, Ridgewood being an excellent public school system, there are a lot of prominent and really dedicated alumni who want to support the school district. Even though it's a public school system, it operates in a way that we can get private monies to enhance and as Paul said, accelerate some of these learning opportunities. So they go out and solicit from alumni for their donations. We are really a grant approver. So we receive grants from the district and then evaluate.
Gotcha. Okay, so just on a side note, I want our listeners and viewers to know that the little jingle that you hear before each episode was recorded at the Duffield Recording Studio at Ridgewood High School, and it was in collaboration with many of the students. They were the producers of that, and so I'm really proud of that little jingle, even though it's a little hokey, but I figure, you know what, we're just going to keep it there for a while because I'm so proud of the students that helped us do that. You know, it was a great collaboration. So staying at the high school, let's talk about the Learning Commons because you had some involvement there too. Yeah?
Yeah, you were involved in that more than I.
That was a large whole community, it takes a village kind of endeavor. And many groups were involved in that. I was the president of Federated HSA during that time. Every HSA contributed to that. And it was basically the library at the high school that had stayed the same, like a time capsule since late 50s or early 60s, and had never been upgraded. So it turned into the Learning Commons project, and we had a gala, and we had every organization in the community really participating, and the Ridgewood Education Foundation certainly did our part to participate, as well as individual private donors from individuals and families.
Yes, I remember that event. Let me tell you, for those of you who care, I swear to God, and I don't know, this might be a little off color, but I think those cocktail hour drinks were doubles because we went straight away from the cocktail hour into the
Willie Geist auctioneer.
Oh yes, Willie Geist was the auctioneer, which was and he was hilarious. And I swear, I mean, it was like, how in the world did you get these people to be going $10,000, $20,000, $50,000? Like, it was crazy. I'm like, what did they put in their drinks?
I was running around with a clipboard collecting all that.
It was awesome. I mean, like, literally, like, in 10 minutes, it was $100,000, just like that. I don't know. How much did that?
I think over $1 million.
Yeah.
Close to $1 million.
Easily. And then when everybody had their hangovers the next morning, they were like, well, you know, I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah, it is great. I mean, Ridgewood is such an awesome town. And again, like your Oktoberfest too are so much fun. Yeah. And I mean, so you're raising money for a good cause and everybody's having a blast at the same time, which is so fun.
And we try to keep it local by now moving it to the Women's Club, a local venue so people can walk or Uber. Yeah. And then also featuring the Dad's Night Band, which is one of our favorite local bands.
Yes.
So we always are able to entice them to come, which is great.
Love that. And you know what I like about your board too is that you said it's comprised of all age groups. So what does your typical board meeting look like? I mean, you're talking about what grants you're going to give out, and you're probably talking about what fundraisers you're going to have. I mean, is there anything coming up that we should know about? Or, you know, I want to know what the board meetings looks like, and then I want to know if you have any other things coming up.
We should also mention we have 2 student representatives on our board.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a junior and a senior every year from the high school who sit at our board meetings.
And our partner Jeff Nice does a great job of kind of finding the right mix of student to bring to our organization because we're lucky that they're willing and ready to collaborate with us in conversation to bring their perspective to our discussions. Our discussions
has got to be really helpful.
It's really helpful. It's really helpful, and we're so excited that the kids enjoy what they're doing and the experience they gain from speaking up at a board meeting and preparing for a board meeting. It'll benefit them as they move on through their college career. Our board meetings are some of the committee work is done independent of the meeting, so it's a more reporting structure. Mm-hmm. So we'll cover old business and new business and financials, of course, on a large scale and on a minute scale as we get into expense season. And then we have presentations or activities from each of the committees, grants, governance, again, finance, whether it's about investments or just the financials, and then development. And development really has become in our organization has become more of a event planning organization.
Makes sense.
We haven't utilized our annual mailer off during these last few years.
Right.
So the development role, reporting and activity is usually about event planning. So we definitely have that every other year with Oktoberfest that we encourage folks to continue to support. So
I just want to interrupt this conversation for 1 minute to remind our listeners to watch every other October, right? It's every other. So watch and make sure you get to that Oktoberfest because it is worth it. You'll have a blast, and then you're also going to contribute greatly to the Ridgewood Public School system. Carry on.
Yeah, and about the fundraising, just a quick point. Our trustees, one of the things that all of our board does is we make an annual gift individually to the board.
Okay, that's good.
And it is a significant enough gift that every year our board funds our operating expenses and all our expenses so that every dollar that we do raise from the public
that's beautiful.
Gets returned through the grant process.
Thank you.
Not in the same year, but we had the grants come through. Like we haven't had a whole lot of grant activity due to COVID and the follow-up, but it's starting to pick up again.
That is a big deal.
100%, we're really proud of that fact.
You should be.
That money goes all the way back into the system.
Yeah, because a lot of the boards, and I've sat on many, where people love being on the board, but their contributions are minimal. So this really puts a lot of skin in the game, and it makes you really want to make sure that your money is put to good use. So I think that is fantastic. Now, are you ever in need of, how long are the terms for the board members?
They serve 2 3-year terms. It's a fairly rubber stamp process if they want to continue on to a second term after 3 years. Provided they're in good standing, it's usually a quick conversation.
Right.
So it's typically they can be on for 6 years, but we've had a number of trustees who in that 6 years, other parts of their life have called them, so they have to step down.
Yeah.
And we have people like Kathy and I who have probably.
Well, I think Jody.
9 years.
Jody Nad's been there a while too.
Jody Nad is a legend. Yeah. And
a legend. I like that word. Yes, because she is.
She
yeah.
She is. She keeps telling us she's going to step down, but thankfully she hasn't.
I know. She's like the life of the party.
She's terrific. But we do have a number of trustees with greater than 10 or 12 years experience.
Okay, so if someone wanted to become a trustee, how would they go about that?
Yeah, so we have a governance committee, and there's a head of the governance, which right now is Kim Bangash. And basically, we have in our bylaws the ability to go up to, 23 trustees. Okay. So we definitely can take on more at this point.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested, where in the world would they reach you?
So they can reach Paul or me on our email addresses, or and we'll put them in touch with our governance group.
Yeah. And our website is is in transition right now, depending on when this airs. But our website is ridgewoodedfoundation.org.
Okay.
And through the website, you can find a means of contacting us. You could also, as Kathy said, just reach out to either of us, and we'll start the conversation and put you in touch with the right people.
Right. And if for some reason, listeners, if you can't get in touch with them, then you could just write to ridgewoodtalks@gmail.com, and I will connect you to these fine people right here.
And I would just add, since that was a great point, Ridgewood Ed Foundation Ridgewood Ed Info @gmail.com is our. Okay,
that's perfect.
That's not in transition. That's
Ridgewood Ed Info @gmail.com. It's a great place to go to get more information. So what else is on the horizon for the Ridgewood Education Foundation?
Well, we are, as I said, the grant process has been picking up of late. We've made a concerted effort to make ourselves more visible within the school buildings. By meeting with principals. A group of us met in January with all the principals and the department heads. That was a courtesy of the administration's invitation, which we're greatly appreciative of. We have a great working relationship with Mark.
Yes,
and he's supportive. He understands the role that an organization like ours plays, and has seen the good work that we've done, and so he's super supportive of us. And
I think that's one of the reasons why they invited you to be on as a representative for their space on this show, because they are so appreciative of what you do. And I think that it's really important for everyone in the community to understand that there are loyal volunteers that are literally putting their time talent, and treasure to good use for the student body of Ridgewood Public Schools. So I'm very happy that he brought you on here.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have the opportunity. Thank you.
And
the grants are picking up, as I said, and we're in review of 2 with 4 or 5 more coming down the pike. So, we'll report back as we approve these grants and tell you what good things we're doing,
I can't wait.
and as a follow up, and we'll be publicizing the grants that are approved and try to explain to the community how they're implemented within the district. As we've kind of talked about today, our goal isn't to change any of the curriculum or touch the curriculum. We just want to enhance the education.
Right.
So that's hardware and that's programming and other things around the curriculum. But we have a fantastic team that worries about the curriculum in this district. So
for sure.
we just try to do the fundraising through the private organizations and individuals that allow them to have a little bit of off budget opportunity.
And I think that'll become more and more important as we see maybe the dissolving of the Department of Education at the federal level. So I think that organizations like yours are going to become infinitely more important and to our school system, I would think. Yes?
Yeah, there's plenty of data behind the school districts that have education foundations supporting them and that don't, and the difference in the outcomes are huge, particularly if, when you get into some of the larger school districts throughout the country. Those that can tap into a resource vein are much better served, and it's not just anecdotal. There's plenty of data behind it. So
I mean, our kids.
We have a great district. We have a super district
really
here,
do.
and
we're very lucky, I think, to be able to tap into things like the Alumni Association and the Ridgewood Education Foundation, and just the HSAs who do phenomenal work at every level.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously we're well resourced in this district, and we're very lucky because it allows us to maintain, as you said, the tradition of excellence, and it really allows us to stay at the forefront of public education, I think, in the country.
Right. I completely agree. And I also, Kathy, because you were so involved with the HSAs, well, and you were too, Paul, but I think you served many years as president, many years, and you were at the federated level too. So if you wouldn't mind, just explaining to our listeners who are not maybe that familiar with HSAs and how important it is for parents of students to get involved with them, if you want to just expound on that.
Thank you for the ability to plug it. So first of all, every Ridgewood school parent is automatically a member of the HSA. You don't have to join, you're already in. And I encourage you to attend the meetings and find out what's going on. It's a great opportunity to interact directly with your principal, your building principal, your site leader, and basically to raise money that your kids will see the benefit of usually in the same year that you've raised it or the very next year. I mean, they operate on a much faster pace. They basically come up with wish lists at the teacher level and the building site leader level, and then the HSA boards and the HSA members get to vote on how they spend the money that they raise. And they raise everything from small amounts of money at bake sales to large amounts of money at annual auctions or biannual auctions. And it was really the foundational work of my parenting at a younger age, where you got to meet people. You got to meet parents of other kids. You got to meet the administrators and interact with them and get to know them on a different level. And you really were able to interact with teachers on a different level and get to know exactly what was happening at your school and stay current. And I think it's a great way to get involved. And you can do kind of as much or as little as you want. A lot of parents are working parents, but there are evening events. And I think some of the HSAs have introduced evening meetings or Zoom meetings, which was a huge benefit during COVID time. The attendance at those meetings tripled when it was on Zoom. And so there's lots of access points, and I encourage everybody to access it in one way or another.
Yes, I do too, because, and it's not the right word, but it's kind of like where you get your school's, gossip isn't the right word, but just...
Well, you have your hand on the pulse.
Yeah,
on the pulse.
Thanks. That's the better way of putting it. And then, of course, all the HSAs then funnel into Federated HSA, where all the schools' HSA presidents meet once a month. And like you said, you have a representative at Federated?
I go. I'm
Paul is
out.
the representative.
Yeah, okay,
for
yeah. So, and that's where you find out everything from all around the district, and it's so important. Now, I don't know that just, you have to be invited to those meetings, right? Regular.
So the federated HSA consists of the presidents of each of the HSAs of each of the schools,
Right.
as well as the Learning Services HSA
Right.
president. And then invited representatives are the REF representative, and then every meeting has the superintendent present and a board member.
Board member, yeah.
So
Yeah, but I mean,
the
like, if I
guests.
wanted to go, I couldn't go.
I imagine you
Unless
could.
I have some special thing that I'm bringing
right.
to the
I mean,
table.
yeah, we do invite people to present, and I actually think you probably could go and sit and listen. It's probably public. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a closed meeting.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I have been to those meetings for various reasons, and they're very interesting. And again, the people that are volunteering put everything they have into making our schools as what they are. And our kids have such a leg up. I mean, really, and it's thanks to people like you. So apart from the Ridgewood Education Foundation, I know the two of you are very engaged in other pursuits. So if you want to take this opportunity to plug some of the other things that you're promoting, have at it.
You want to start?
Well, I would just like to say before that that for anyone who's out there and is viewing this, if you are a parent in this district and you want to have a hand in what is a better handle on what's going on in the district, and from a curriculum standpoint, and what programs are being focused on and highlighted, those get brought to us. So if you want to participate in that process of your child's or your children's academic career and the enhancements and the opportunities that they might have, consider reaching out to us and
That's really
becoming
good.
a trustee
Yeah.
because we are getting our board is getting a little grayer, and there's
Speak for yourself.
yeah, I guess that's just me.
Are you ready to pass the torch, Paul?
Well, I'm not ready to pass the torch, but we would love to welcome a next generation of board members from predominantly or specifically from the elementary school.
Right.
Because we are trying to connect with them and let them know what we've done. A lot of them are new to town.
Right. Yeah.
If their oldest is only a third or fourth grader, they don't really have the history of the Education Foundation because they came either
Right.
right after COVID or in COVID, and here we are. We haven't had much to promote because the grants were so quiet. But for folks in the high school and older, they have a better understanding of who we are. So we're trying to connect with the younger generation of families because they're who can benefit the most from what we're doing.
For sure. Absolutely.
The grants we're going to approve this year will benefit kids that are coming into, at least one of them is a kindergarten grant at one specific school, and that doesn't start until September. So the next rounds of kindergartners in that school will have the benefit of this technology. But it's an evergreen process where the earlier you can get into something and learn about it, the more impact you can have on it, and the more you'll understand about your own children's opportunities within the district. So reach out to us and let us know if you're interested in becoming a trustee or just want to learn more about it. You can come sit at our meetings; they're public. You don't have to be on the board.
Where
to
do
come.
you meet?
We meet on the second floor of the Board of Ed building
Okay, gotcha.
at Cottage Place.
Right.
Second Thursday of every month, and it's a pretty fast 60 to 90 minute meeting, and we cover all the business and get about our work. But we'd love to reestablish an understanding in the elementary schools and get those families involved in what we're doing and
That's
our message.
so great.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So is there anything else?
Okay, so I will shamelessly put in a plug for the College Club of Northern New Jersey. It started out as the College Club of Ridgewood, and we're a group of 250 plus members who raise money for grants to women attending four-year universities and interest-free loans for men and women attending colleges and grad schools. And we have our annual author luncheon coming up featuring the very famous Fiona Davis, who is going to talk about her new book, The Stolen Queen, and that is April 28th at Seasons. And you can go to our website, collegeclubofnorthernnewjersey.com.
Which, by the way, the webmaster here, yeah.
Yes. So we look forward to that event every year.
Yeah, it's a great event. It's another little event where you do a little day drinking, have fun.
And they generate a lot of scholarship money for
Yes, most
for the
importantly.
community, for the
yes.
county. It's
Yes.
it's as Kathy said, that's all of northern New Jersey, right? It's
Yes.
not just
And
Bergen
that's your
County.
biggest
with a special
fundraiser.
program in Patterson. So
That's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah,
Good
that's
organization.
right. Yeah, that's so important. And so that is a huge fundraiser for College Club of Northern New Jersey, as is your book drive, right?
yes, the book fair is our largest fundraiser actually, and has been going on for something like 78 years.
Amazing.
So that is in November of each year, and we'll start collecting books again at Somerville School on Mondays between 4 and 6 in early March.
Oh man, I love that program because I always have a lot of books to donate,
Yeah.
and then when I go donate them, I'm like,
Right.
You take
gotta,
more.
yeah, exactly. It's so great.
Yeah.
And what about you, Paul?
Well, on the topic of author luncheons, we're the Friends of the Ridgewood Library is kind of the OG of
Yes,
the author
yes.
luncheons. This is our
Yep.
35th annual, coming up in April, on April 9th. And we're going to host that at the Terrace, which is
Terrace,
the
okay.
event space at Biagio's on Paramus
Right,
Road
right.
in Paramus. And we're just really thrilled to have Marie Benedict as our guest this year. Her new book, The Queens of Crime,
Queens of Crime.
Crime, not murder, just came out in February, just earlier this month. So it's an exciting new book. It's been well received critically, and we're thrilled to have her. She's got a great stable of books that were popular, like The Personal Librarian and so forth, that have a wide appeal. So we're hoping for another sellout.
Oh wow, yeah.
April 9th.
It's a great event. I mean, I definitely encourage everybody to go to both. I do every year.
I do too, yeah.
I mean, it's just, and book groups are more than welcome to come
Yeah,
to
book groups
both.
are great.
A lot of book groups are outside of Ridgewood and inside of Ridgewood are
Right.
in attendance.
It is. It's so much fun. I love going to those book club or those book author luncheons because, first of all, I'm always so surprised when I learn about their process because every author has a different writing
Yeah,
process
fascinating.
and how they got to the story that they got to. It's fascinating to listen to the authors, and I think it's a great thing to do for fundraising. So they're always chock-a-block full. There's always auction items, tricky tray, raffles, and so on. So it's worth going, folks. Take a look, go to those, and also keep your eye on the Ridgewood Education Foundation and all the good work that they're doing. And I want to once again thank you for being here to telling us all about the Ridgewood Education Foundation. And now I want to say, listeners, please follow Ridgewood Talks on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on all the major platforms. Again, they're on video on YouTube and Spotify. And don't forget, these podcasts are produced by Igniter Creator Studios right here in Ridgewood. It is a video podcasting and content strategy for businesses and services. If you have any desire to promote your business, come here. Do your own little podcast. It's awesome. It's so much fun. It's a relaxed atmosphere. It's a great way to get people to notice you. So again, I'm Jeanne Johnson for Ridgewood Talks. Thank you again for tuning in, and please share the show with all your friends. Thanks.